Hello dear students, continuing with the topic which we have done in module 2nd, that is chemical reactions of metals. Now the fifth type of reaction is reaction with solutions of other metal salts. In this reaction, more reactive metals can displace less reactive metals from their salt solution. This is the same reaction which we have discussed in chapter number 1, that was displacement reactions. So here also there is reactivity series of metals. It is a list of common metals arranged in order of their decreasing reactivity. It is also known as activity series. So the most reactive element here is potassium and the least reactive is platinum. So when we are going through this reaction, what will happen, we will take metal A for example and salt solution of B. So here the salt solution should be of less reactive metal. Therefore, for example, if we take Fe plus CuSO4, then it will give FeSO4 plus Cu. But if we are doing it in reverse order, that means we are taking Cu with FeSO4, then you will not get the result because Fe is more reactive than copper. So copper cannot displace more reactive element. So in the second type of reaction also, example, you can see zinc plus copper sulfate, Zn plus CuSO4 will give ZnSO4 plus Cu. Here also copper is less reactive, so it gets displaced by zinc. Now let's discuss the chemical reactions of non-metals. So first reaction is with oxygen. Non-metals form acidic or neutral oxides when they react with oxygen. The non-metallic oxides which dissolve in water to form acids, they are known as acidic oxides, whereas non-metallic oxides are those which neither react with acid or with base, they are called neutral oxides. These neither turn blue litmus red nor red litmus blue. So if we talk about acidic oxides, some of the examples are carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide they react with H2O, they will give carbonic acid. So as a result they are giving acid, they are considered acidic oxides. And if we talk about neutral oxides, then it is water. H2 plus O2 will give H2O, that is neutral oxide. One of the neutral oxide is nitric oxide also, NO. When N2 reacts with O2, it will give NO, that is nitric oxide, that is also neutral. Then second is nonmetals do not react with water to evolve hydrogen gas. Also, nonmetals do not react with dilute acids. The reason is, in order to displace hydrogen from acids, electrons must be supplied to the H plus ions of the acids, because when H plus ion will gain electron, it will become H2 gas. So since a non-metal is electron acceptor, it cannot supply electrons to H plus ions to reduce them to hydrogen gas. As a result, they will not react with water as well as with dilute acids. Here in the figure you can see phosphorus and white phosphorus in the second figure. See, phosphorus burns in air with yellow flame to form phosphorus pentoxide. This is the reaction of non-metal phosphorus with oxygen. And in second figure, it is white phosphorus, it is dipped in water. It is stored under water because it burns spontaneously in air but does not react with water. So as I have told you that non-metals do not react with water and acid, so phosphorus is stored under water but it vigorously reacts with oxygen. So therefore it should be kept under water. Here is a comparison table of physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So by learning this, you can revise the topics which we have discussed. This will be sent with the notes. And next topic we shall discuss now, that is reaction of metals and non-metals. Reactivity actually depends on the tendency to attain completely filled valence shell. This I have told you before also, the octet rule. So the cause of chemical combination is the tendency of the atoms to complete their octet, and that is the outermost shell with 8 electrons, or it sometimes it is duplet also, outermost shell having 2 electrons. In case of some of the elements like helium or lithium, hydrogen, these small elements they complete their duplet, whereas others complete octet, and they acquire stable noble gas configuration. So they combine with each other. So generally जो metals होते हैं they are giving electrons, and the non metals they are gaining electrons. So electron donor are metals and electron acceptors are non metals, hence they will form a bond, that is chemical bond. So when the electrons are gained or loosed, the bond which is formed is ionic bond. Whereas when the electrons are shared between the atoms, that means the electrons are counted with both the atoms which are combining, then it is known as covalent bond. So here we will be discussing only metals and non-metals, and in this case we will be discussing ionic bond only, because the covalent bonds we will be discussing in carbon and its compounds. So mainly group number 14, carbon family, they form covalent compounds, that is of sharing. So here we will be discussing ionic bonds. When metal reacts with non-metal, it forms ionic compounds like NaCl, MgCl2, CaCl2, CaO, NaBr, Ki, etc. So here the example is shown first of NaCl. Sodium is having outermost 1 electron while chlorine is having 7 electrons. Because sodium is having atomic number 11, so the configuration will be 281. Whereas chlorine is having atomic number 17, so the configuration will be 287. So chlorine requires 1 electron to attain noble gas configuration. So sodium, which is having outermost 1 electron, will lose 1 electron and give it to chlorine. As a result, an ionic bond is formed. So Na will give electron, it will form Na plus plus electron. E minus is shown here. Then Cl will take 1 electron plus E minus and it will form Cl minus. So Na plus, that is cation, and Cl minus, that is anion. Now both of them will combine to form NaCl, that is sodium chloride. Here similarly you can see in magnesium chloride, Mg will give 2 electrons because the atomic number is 12. So the configuration will be 282. So the 2 electrons in the outermost shell can be given, and chlorine will take 2 electrons. 2 chlorine atoms will take 2 electrons because 1 chlorine requires only 1 electron. So it will form a salt, that is magnesium chloride MgCl2. So here 2 chlorine atoms will combine with 1 Mg. Here you can see the Lewis dot structure also. This you have to make in your notebooks and you have to remember it also. It is shown by dot and cross. Dots and crosses, they represent electrons, and this is the formation of ionic compounds. Next you can see calcium chloride, just like magnesium chloride, CaCl2. Calcium is having configuration 2882 because the atomic number is 20, and chlorine is having 287. So chlorine will take 1 electron from calcium. So 1 calcium will give 2 electrons to 2 chlorine atoms. Then the formation of magnesium oxide is also shown here. Magnesium configuration is 282. It loses 2 electrons, and atomic number of oxygen is 8. So its configuration will be 2,6. So to complete the octet, oxygen require 2 electrons. So it will gain 2 electrons from magnesium directly. So one magnesium atom will donate 2 electrons, one oxygen atom will take 2 electrons. As a result, the compound will be formed, that is MgO, magnesium oxide. Same is the case with calcium oxide. Ca will give 2 electrons, oxygen will gain 2 electrons. As a result, both of them will be having charges +2 and -2 respectively, and the compound which is formed is calcium oxide. Now let's discuss the properties of ionic compounds. First property is these are solid and hard but brittle in nature. They break into pieces when pressure is applied. That means ionic compounds are solid and hard, but when force is applied on them, they can break into pieces, so they are brittle. Second is these compounds have high melting and boiling points. High melting and boiling point is due to the electrostatic force of attraction between the cation and anion. As we have discussed before, that ionic compounds are formed by gaining and losing of electrons. So there should be one cation and one anion. And when the force which is present between them, that is the attraction force, this is known as electrostatic force of attraction. As a result, the melting and boiling point of these compounds is high. Then third property is these are soluble in water and insoluble in organic or non-polar solvents like kerosene, petrol, CCl4. CCl4 is carbon tetrachloride, and benzene, etc. So as you know that like dissolves like, this is one of the rule. So when the ionic compounds are there, they are having some polarity charges, cation and anion, plus and minus. So they will dissolve in such type of solvents only, like water. Water is universal solvent, and it is also having ions, H plus ion, OH minus ion. So the organic solvents are not having such charges. So inorganic, you can say ionic or water, these can dissolve ionic compounds, and they are insoluble in organic or non-polar solvents because they are not having any charges. For example, kerosene, petrol, these are non-polar, they are not having any charges. So ionic compounds cannot dissolve in these type of solvents. Then fourth one is these conduct electricity in molten state or aqueous form and not in solid state. This is very much clear that if the electricity has to flow, there should be some ions or electrons. So if the ionic salt or compound is in molten state or aqueous form, then only it is dissolved or decomposed or dissociated into ions. So when free ions or electrons are present, then only electricity can flow. So in molten state and aqueous form, electricity can flow through them, whereas in solid form they are bonded with each other. So the electricity cannot flow through these type of compounds.